And that is the chart for our free agents. I think we have 18 of them. Um, I'm gonna do a little rundown. Who I feel like should stay. Who I feel like is okay to go. Um, some of the guys, I guess, in another video we'll do where they are under contract, and we'll look at some possibility to release some of these guys to free up some cap space and kind of free up some money, man. That way we can you know we can make some we can get some free agent acquisitions and make the team a little better. Um, we're gonna run down on positions. Starting the quarterback. There's no free agents at quarterback. Everybody we have, all three quarterbacks are locked into a deal. It's weird saying locked because there's so many stipulations with the contracts nowadays. Man, nobody's necessarily locked into any deal. But our next move, I mean, our next conversation will be running back, in which we have Kenny Gainwell. Kenny Gainwell has been a very solid back for us, even with between the Miles Sanders times they share some of the load. And Kenny Gainwell is a really good pass blocker. So we're gonna miss that because Saquon Barkley, as great as he is running the football and catching the ball, um, he struggled at times pass blocking. So we have Will Shipley now, and he showed great promise in the season. Some very no clutch situations, but when he was on the field, he did great things with special teams. He caused a fumble in Washington. He had a big run in Washington also, the championship games. So I mean, Will Shipley is showing that the spotlight is never too big for him, and he's only gonna get better. So I'm excited to see what Will Shipley's gonna do. Backing up Saquon Barkley. Saquon seems like him and Will Shipley has a real good um, relationship. So I can see him mentoring him and kind of bringing him along. Will Shipley runs hard, so I can really see us being fine at the running back position. It's going to be hell for like blitz pickups and stuff like that. Maybe Saquon Barkley take a step up as far as blitz pickups, and we don't even miss it. So move on down to the wide receivers. We got Paris Campbell and Brent Covey. I know the team really loves Brent Covey. Um, he had the injury, so he didn't play a lot of games. The collarbone, broken collarbone. He didn't play a lot of games this season for us. And they really believed in him. They threw him a lot of screen plays and a lot of these gadget plays earlier in the year before he broke his collarbone, which is kind of unfortunate for Brent Covey. Depending on what kind of deal he's trying to get done, I don't see him trying to get a big bag, so he might could be back. We'll kind of see how that goes. I don't think we necessarily need Brent Covey. Um, I think we're fine with the wide receivers we have. Paris Campbell was just a fill-in on wideout, and um, I don't see us needing him as well. So let's move on, man. Let's move on to the old tackle. Fred Jackson played so well, replacing Lane Johnson. Um, I think in 2 games where he came in to finish the game off for Lane Johnson, and he played very well when he was replacing Lane Johnson. His starts were kind of shaky. Um, yeah, pretty shaky starts. When he started, he had a lot of trouble um, with the pressures on Jalen Hurts. So I can see them moving on from Fred, but you know that he can be a solid backup. So depending on what Fred is trying to get, what his agent is trying to get, he could possibly be here. Jordan Mailata situation, I'm so sorry. Um, Even with the Jordan Mailata situation, he went over there and played a pretty good game. Um, he had more. I think he had more good games than he had bad games playing for Jordan Mailata. Um, so Jordan Mailata missed, I want to say 3-4 games, maybe a month of football, and Fred Johnson filled in for him. Played pretty well. Played pretty well. It was only when he started for Lane Johnson. The 2 times he started for Lane Johnson is when he had he had some pretty tough games. It might be his worst games. Is when he started. But coming in for Lane Johnson, he played fine, very solid. I wouldn't mind having him back. I love the depth. The depth is big in my opinion. Let's go to O line. Mekhi Becton. I feel like this is a must get done. He made our run game so good. If they don't do it, I can see them not doing it because of Tyler Steen. Tyler Steen is a very solid guard. He's not physically imposing like a Mekhi Becton is, especially in the run game. Um, Kai Becton moves bodies, man. Tyler Steen is not that kind of player. He's great as a filler in. Somebody gets hurt, he comes in and he take a couple snaps. He's great with that. So I would like to keep him around. Um, but and maybe because everybody gave up on Mekhi Becton, he'll take a team friendly deal. Um, with a couple years under him, he'll take a team friendly deal because he's so grateful of being able to come back and do something. Everybody called him a bust, and then he came with us, and we switched him to guard, and he was a Pro Bowler now. So maybe that'll help him want to stay in Philly and take a team friendly deal. We got Nick Gates, which is the center. I feel like this is a working project for Stoutland. I think Stoutland is working on Nick Gates, trying to mold him into a really good center. So I feel like they'll bring him back. There's no pressure to get him a big bag or anything. So I feel like that can be done. I wouldn't mind it happening. We shouldn't have to switch centers to guard. We shouldn't have to put Landon Dickerson at center. So I wouldn't mind him staying. Jack Driscoll. I don't think he's seen the field none this season. So I feel like Jack Driscoll, it'd be okay if he left. It'd be fine. We do have some. We're gonna go to the edge. Where we got Sweaty J. Josh Sweat had 8 sacks off the year, and he played lights out in the Super Bowl. Between the 8 sacks in the Super Bowl, he was a very mediocre player. I mean, it's just in the most respectful way possible. 8 sacks is not big bag money. He changed his agent. He is looking for big bag money. We're not going to be able to pay him what he wants. If he wants to stay in Philly, he'll take a friendly deal, but a team friendly deal. But I don't see him doing that. Him and Milton Williams, who we'll talk about a little bit next, changed their agents. They are looking for a money contract, a big money contract. Milton Williams is about the same as Josh Sweat. Not a lot of sacks. With 6.5. So not a lot of sacks. Nice bit of pressures, and they balled out in the Super Bowl. If they want to stay here, they don't go after the big bag, which I don't see because of the agent swap to try to get more money. Brandon Graham, if he really wants to play again next year, he had a whole lot of juice in this in the season that just passed. When he went out, he was balling. Brandon Graham coming off the bench has been a dominant force. I'm gonna say it again. That's dominant. A dominant force. He is always on the tape. He's always near the ball. At 37 years old, Brandon Graham in a backup role was balling. And he took a lot of snaps. Vic Fangio loves Brandon Graham. I think in the interview they asked him about this being Brandon Graham's last season, and he said, "No, BG can't. He can't leave like this. He has got to give me one more season." So I can see Vic Fangio getting in Brandon Graham's ear, and depending on how Brandon Graham feels, we can have him back. I believe that deal can get done. So I advocate for it. I think we need Brandon Graham, especially since Josh Sweat is leaving. And Josh Sweat is nowhere near the run stopper that Brandon Graham is. So I think we can get that done. We talked about Milton Williams, Zach Bond. Zach Bond if he needs a big bag, we give him the biggest bag. He is somebody who gets a really big bag. He played like the best defensive player in the league this year. He didn't get the nod for it, maybe because his name's not big, but Zach Bond played like a man possessed and had a great year. Great year. Better than Fred Warner's year. All the linebackers who getting paid big contracts, the top 5 linebackers, he beat all of them out. And I think he actually deserves a big contract, if anybody does. Owen Burks. Because Nakobe Dean and Jeremiah Trotter Jr., I think Owen Burks will not be with us. He balled out, and from the time that Nakobe Dean left, all the way through the Super Bowl, he gave a great effort. He played like a pro, and I would like to keep him, but we can't keep everybody. So I think that's what we will find ourselves is losing Owen Burks. Ben Van Sumeren. I can see Ben Van Sumeren leaving. We're not running the same offense somewhat. We're not running the same offense that we did when we had Kellen Moore. And Ben Van Sumeren was more like a fullback than a linebacker. They kind of pretty much moved him to a fullback role where he was just like destroying people on blocks. So I doubt that they'll keep him just for the run game. I mean, it is what it is, and we'll just have to find. I think we still have a fullback on the roster now because we went and picked somebody up after he got injured. So I think we'll be fine not having Ben Van Sumeren. Cornerbacks, Avonte Maddox. I'm gonna take my time with this one because a lot of people. I wouldn't say I don't like Avonte Maddox. I don't know him as a person, but him as a football player, he has never been good. I don't know how he stayed on the team so long. Maybe Dallas Goedert have been pulling strings for him. They're best friends. So maybe Dallas Goedert have been pulling strings for this man since he's been here. Avonte Maddox has not shown us that he was a good football player from the time we drafted him. He had that one spurt where he was having a really good year in the slot, and then just nothing. He got injured that year, and then after that, he went right back to Avonte Maddox. I don't believe he has ever been good. Me watching him play, he has never been really good. Avonte Maddox has looked like somebody you throw at, and because he's been there so long, I guess you'll miss him. I guess y'all will miss him, but I'm not gonna miss him. Isaiah Rodgers, I think this is a must because I don't feel like we should keep Slay. And a lot of reasons for that is everything that I said in the video before this one. Check out the YouTube, Philly Day 1. I don't think that we should keep Slay. He's on 1 year. He's 34 years old. And Isaiah Rodgers, he has the speed. His on the ball play is a little bit to be desired. But I feel like Isaiah Rodgers is a better pick than Slay. And if not Isaiah Rodgers, we still have Kelee Ringo. Which all this I explained in the first video. We're gonna move on to, on a side note, we don't have any free agents that are safeties, but we have 6 of them. Lewis Kane, please forgive me if I'm saying your name wrong. He's a safety. He was a former first-round pick for the Minnesota Vikings, who broke his leg, and we picked him up. He rehabbed, I think, a year before we got him. A lot of people were saying he was looking more explosive than ever. He played on the same team with Kelee Ringo, Nakobe Dean, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith. He's played on the Philly Dogs. He was a Philly Dog. I mean, now he's really a Philly Dog. So he played on the same team with them, and I think the continuity, if Kelee Ringo if they do decide that Kelee Ringo should take that spot, and be on that side, I think it'll really help that he got somebody he really trusts, he know, on the back end of that, on the back end of that safety part. And this is just in case if Reed Blankenship and C.J. Gardner-Johnson, something happens to them, knock on wood, something happens to them, he can slide right in and play. We got Tristan McCullum and Sidney Brown, and Sidney Brown is all athleticism. You know, I see him missing tackles. He's so athletic that you kind of want to let him get away with it, but it don't matter how fast you get to the ball if you miss the tackle. So I think Sidney Brown still has a lot to work on. Tristan McCullum, he don't have much instinct. He's not very athletic. He's more likely, he's kind of like a thumper. Lewis is kind of a thumper as well, but you know, he might be a little more explosive. I can't wait to see what he does in the preseason of this year's coming. So on that's a side note about the safeties. We do have James Bradberry as a safety too, and if we can get off of James Bradberry, hopefully we can get James Bradberry out of there and clear up some space. We don't need 6 safeties, I don't think. And our very last free agent is Rick Lovato, and he's the long snapper. I imagine they'll get him done. It won't take a big bag to get him done, but I imagine they'll get him done. It's kind of a gimme. As long snapper, he did a great job snapping the ball. This season, we had no fumbles. We had no mishaps on the special team. So I can imagine he comes back. I mean, that's all I got for y'all, man. Y'all let me know what y'all thinking, who y'all want to come back, who will be some of your favorites on that list, man. And you know, I'll get back to you and we can kind of go over what you think. All right, man. Let's go Birds.